What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, Aqua Life baby. You already know how it is. So, we're finally here at my last card, Revonn Aqua Force deck profile. I'm extremely excited to bring you this deck profile, especially because of kind of like my, you know, 15-hour trials and tribulations with it going from one build and completely switching my thinking 180. As I explained in my last video, guys, I went undefeated with this deck at our tournament on Saturday, beating Chicago, Clear Sword, and two Narukami, including my brother who was undefeated with Narukami up until the finals when he had to play against me. The deck is just really smooth. It's very fun. I haven't had this much fun playing Aqua Force since G Set 2, I would say, when Lambros dropped. This deck is just smooth, and you know, the traditional build I had with Fort Vest whatnot, I kind of threw that out the window the morning of the tournament and kind of went to this build, and it's worked to perfection, and I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this deck, show you my choices, and you know, obviously explain as we go along. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so starting off with the grade zeros, obviously we got the boy Costi. I actually like the artwork for it. He kind of just looks like, you know, one of those anime characters that's kind of like just ready to pop off on somebody, like, you know, like feel the breeze of the wind and then just go pop off. Obviously, 4 elixir heals, 4 draws, and then we are running 8 critical. Reason why we're running 8 critical is purely because this deck has a very good advantage in it. This has a very good recoup, being able to back up on defense after you know, a really strong offense. You know, it's a strong offensive turn. Coral and Narissa are able to provide extra draws. You have the triple drive from Revonn. Just a solid, you know, just very solid overall. And you know, I've seen the profile where I guess they run front triggers. Front triggers really don't work in this deck. This deck's whole playstyle is intended for Revonn to be the last attack, but obviously you have support cards like Gallius and Foivos who, you know, kind of, you know, say like, hey, you might be the last attack of the turn, but I'm gonna restand and I'm gonna attack after you again. So, you know, crits definitely provide the correct amount of aggression to this deck. Obviously, I'm running a full set of crits because you don't really need extra draw triggers in the deck. You kind of, in this type of format, you really want to put your opponent from 0 to 6, you know, as fast as possible. Usually, you want to do it by turn 4. You know, in a way. So definitely, you know, this is the, you know, more optimal trigger lineup for this deck. And if you do play fronts, you know, you'll see a lack in offensive power, a lack in kill power, and it will just prolong your games to where you know, the opponent can have a chance to come up and get you because, you know, your front row is going to be rested. So that power, a lot of that power is going to go to waste. So the crit trigger lineup is definitely the best way to go. Plus, with the way that this deck works between the early games as well, the crit triggers, you know, just work, you know, better with our progression up to grade 3 and then for the remainder of the game. All right, and on to grade 1s. All right, so for grade 1s, you guys already know, like the usual culprits. 4 copies of Will Assault. Will Assault is our, you know, one of our main ride targets. In this deck, he has a really nice role in being able to extend battle phase combos. You know, putting like a Coral Assault behind your Vanguard, having it swing with your other columns, and then when you swing with that, being able to use his ability to bring the Coral Assault up front, you know, swing with Revonn. He just creates a lot of different things that you can do with this deck. And again, you know, every time you play with a deck, you know, you might discover a way to utilize your Wheel Assault to improve, you know, your offensive prowess. Like, he's just overall just a fantastic card, and he makes, you know, a lot of things go. Running 3 copies of probably one of my favorite grade 1s to ever come out for Aqua Force, Baragios. Yes, I have 3. I need one more SP copy of it. I am trying to max out this deck, so there's that. Barragios, 13k booster when you have 4 or more rear guards at rest. He counts himself, which is very important. So he does count himself as part of the 4. Being able to set him up, being at 13k, either a hitter or a booster is a fantastic skill. And obviously, the when you call him from hand, search top 5 for a grade 3 added to your hand, discard one. Obviously, you want him to be there to search for Revonn. Now, here's the thing with him: why he's probably the most important card in this deck, or I will say the most important card because you want to see him early and often. This deck, you definitely want to be able to mulligan. Your mulligan in your opening hand phase, whatever it is really one of the keys to setting the tone for how you're going to play the game. He's a card that I want to see in my opening hand, every time, all the time. And I'm going to do a mulligan, in addition to the combo tutorials, field setups, and things like that. I'm going to be doing a mulligan tutorial in this deck because I feel like if you can correctly mulligan in this deck, then you will not only improve the consistency of it, especially getting to your Revonn, but you will set yourself up for a higher win percentage, being able to mulligan correctly and knowing, and I was told, especially by again, credit to my boy Clinton, Canon Servant on YouTube, knowing your ratios in the deck will dictate how you mulligan, and that is definitely prevalent in this deck, and will help improve your win percentage and just consistency and seeing your pieces. So he is definitely a key part of that. Next card is Baby Girl. Battle Siren Narissa. She is such a damn good card. Any less than 4 of her is, to me, is blasphemy. She is so good. When you rest her, if she's rested by an ability, you can Soul Blast 1, restand her, and she gains 10,000 power. Fantastic ability there. Works with Revonn. Revonn rests her for free. Restand 10k. You just turn her into an 18k beater. And on a 7 or 8k Vanguard, that's a 15k block ease unboosted right there. Her other ability is that at the end of the battle, end of your turn, if you have 4 or more rested rear guards, you can toss her into the soul and draw a card. So I'm gonna put her to the side because her and Cordal Assault are both worded differently. However, both of their skills go on standby and proc at the end of your turn. So that's why you can get them both off. But I'm going to put her to the side. And when we talk about Cordal Assault, we'll compare them to, okay? But she's just an outstanding card. Just getting one of her onto the board. 18k, going to 18k. On the Excel 2 circle, she's 23, boosted by a Barragios. That's a 31k column. She's just solid overall. Just a really good card. And then 3 copies of Nico. We play Algos in this deck, so we want to be able to, be able to search out, our Algos, copies of Algos. And I will talk about Algos when we get to him. All right, let's get into grade 2. All right, so for grade 2s, obviously we're playing 4 copies of Algos. So we're playing Nico, so we have his searcher. That's good. And the reason why I play Algos is, one, because if I have to be stuck at grade 2, I'd rather be stuck on him. He's just a better Vanguard to be stuck on, being able to restand a rear guard after attacks to enable multiple attacks. And he's a card that adds to our filter engine, being able to search him out with Nico. Getting rear guards, to hand is really important in this deck, and so we're playing 4 copies of him because of that. Now, can I justify playing just 3 copies of him in exchange for another card? You damn right we can, and I'm gonna get to that card soon. Obviously 4 copies of Cordal Assault. I need 2 more SP copies. Cordal Assault is the really the best beater, obviously the best beater in this deck. Fantastic card overall. You can definitely set him up with multiple plays. There's a combo you can do with Wheel Assault where if you have multiples on board, you can get 2 really strong Coral Assault attacks off, and leaving one up for Revonn's skill to check. So Coral Assault is just a solid card overall. And then at the end of your turn, if you performed 4 more battles, then you get to toss him into the soul and draw a card. So it's different from her. He needs to have 4 more battles, and she needs to have 4 rested rear guards at the end of the turn. They both proc at the same time at the end of your turn. So if you have 4 more rested rear guards, her ability procs goes on standby, his ability procs goes on standby, and then they activate at the same time, so they'll go into soul both, and then you'll draw your cards. So just wanted to make sure that you guys were clear on that. And then probably my favorite, one of my favorite cards from the set. He might be my favorite card. I'm getting a 3rd SP copy of him in the mail soon. Is my Blue Wave Marine General Gallius. This guy is absolutely disgusting, and his artwork is beautiful too. It's just gorgeous. So during your turn, if he's on the Vanguard or rear guard, if you have 4 rested rear guards, he also includes himself as well. Important. He gains 5k, so he's a 14k beater. His other ability is that if your opponent's Vanguard's power has changed at the end of the battle, when your Vanguard attacks, you can counterblast 1 and restand this card. Not at the end of the battle, but when your Vanguard attacks. So he's just, he's really your best restander in this deck. Between him and Algos and Wilsall, they're the only ones that use Counterblast. And obviously, in this deck, you want to prioritize your Counterblast for Gallius over everything else. Really over Algos. If it gets to that situation, you always prioritize Gallius over Algos, unless you can style on your opponent. Algos swing twice first, and then he swings. Attack with Revonn, counterblast 1, restand him, he swings again. That could be a disgusting turn right there in itself. But he's just solid overall. 14k swing on a 7 or 8k. That's a 10k block. If you do, the way that you do your patterns, he can swing 19, restand 19 again. But he's also really good for just stacking triggers on as well, because Revonn is more likely to suck up a lot of the perfect guards and high amount of shieldings, because they don't want him to hit, especially if Revonn is carrying an extra crit on him. So Gallius is a very important card in this deck. Probably my favorite card next to Narissa to come out from this set, and easily one of my favorite rear guards. If I have to do it, if anything, I put Gallius right up there next to Tidal Assault as some of my favorite Aqua Force cards. Even back when he came out in G format, I really liked this card. So yeah, I'm really glad that he came out, and he's a very good card. And then we finish up with 2 copies of Foivos. So as you guys know, back in the G days, Foivos used to be my boy. They changed Foivos. They changed Foivos. Foivos is a card that I have in this deck. I have a love-hate relationship with. So his ability is on place. If you have his last card, Revonn, is your Vanguard. You can rest him, Soul Blast 1, call the top card of your deck to the board. I wish you didn't rest Foivos and then call the top card. I kind of just wish you called the top card, which would have been great. But you call the top card, so he's kind of like a weird gold paladin type of unit. And then his other ability is that when your Vanguard attacks, if your opponent's power has been altered, then you get to discard 1 card and restand him. So he costs a discard to restand. Gallius costs a counterblast to restand. The biggest difference between both of these cards is that this guy doesn't gain any power where Gallius does. Gallius is just it's easily the best restander in the deck, obviously. And really, Foivos, you want to use him when your opponent's at high damage, like 5, or if they're at 4 damage, and they're going to PG Revonn, then he's a decent restand in that scenario. But really, Foivos, I begun using his ability early game, and when you do use his ability, you call him to a regular rearguard circle, because you want to be able to call him there, use his ability, get a card from the top card of your deck, then move him to the back row, and then put something else in front of him that's a viable attacker. Early game, you really aren't, especially with your opponent having a lot of damage to give, you really don't really want to use his discard to restand gil. You want to save that discard for late in the game when you're making your push. Also, if you do commit him to the Excel circle, then what you're also really committing to is that you're seeing him as your basically your restander for the turn. And if you do end up restanding Foivos, then that's where you want to commit your triggers. Because of that discard, you would want to commit your triggers or anything else to him to improve his restand. He's just a decent card. He's okay. He's not great. Now, in the Narukami matchup, I find that playing that matchup a lot, I do like using him more often because Narukami does get rid of our board. And even if you top deck a trigger from the top of your deck, just being able to get a card onto the board sometimes is just key in itself. And, there is justification of cutting an Algos, tossing in a threat Foivos, just because you want to, the soul really doesn't get used other than Narissa and him. So you have an overabundance of soul, and Foivos can definitely use that to get you some type of board. It's just being able to just using him and where you use him and how you use him. That's up to the skill and decision making of the player, which can determine, really a lot of times can determine how your offense is going to go and where the match is going to go with him. So, very key card. He's a key card. I feel he needs to be in this deck, but I think 2 copies for me has been enough of him. I like to see him, but I prefer the other units over him a lot of the time. At least from early to mid game. He's better as a late game type of card. Let's get into grade 4. Or 3, Jesus. All right, so for grade 3s, we have last card, Revonn. Yes, I got this. I am the true strong man. Yes. Last card, Revonn. Back in the day, I used to hate this card. I used to chuck him across the room because he was such a bad card. They made him good, and he is such a good card. First and foremost, he's always had the best flavor text in Aqua Force. Let's just make that clear. Secondly, he has very cool artwork, very good design. It's just that his ability back then was just terrible. Now, oh my gosh, he's amazing. So, once per turn for free, just rest a card on your board, subtract 5k from your opponent's Vanguard for the remainder of the turn. That 5k power difference is huge. That turns, 10k blocks into 15, 15s into 20s, 20s into 25s. It makes, our smaller attacks hit for higher shield value, and it also allows us in a lot of cases to still be able to power through damage triggers. Like, a damage trigger is still not going to save you from this fade, so you're gonna give me a card one way or another. So it's really to me, some people don't value it as much, but it's really a strong skill. And then his other ability is that when he attacks, if you have 5 rested rear guards, he gains triple drive, and if you have a grade 3 in the soul, he gains an extra critical. When you do attack with him, you boost an attack, so he'll check his booster as part of the 5 rested rear guards when he swings. So you can leave if you have a full board of 5 rear guards, then you have the Excel circle. You leave the Excel circle alone, swing with a full boost, and go in there. But that triple drive is actually really nasty. It's kind of and he gains 15k as well, if I forgot to mention that. So he's a 27k unboosted swing with triple drive. Again, like I said, we're playing the 8 crit triggers. Higher chance to hit crits. Like I said, I ended my brother's tournament in the finals on a double crit draw from my swing with Revonn. He did put me into a corner, but Revonn, I was able to check I did sack him. Yes, I did sack him. But, the way that this deck was and, what I had on the board, I felt really comfortable, really comfortable even if I didn't sack him like that. But that triple drive is so nasty. Being able to get those 3 cards back to your hand, 3 cards to hand as opposed to the twin drive is really good. The 27k swing is very nice. Overall, he's just a fantastic card and a card your opponent really doesn't want to see you on. Being able to ride him again is amazing. Him now swinging with an extra critical it's just fantastic, and that kind of forces your opponent to drop a heavy amount of shit. Remember, this is 27k on a 7k or 8k Vanguard. That is a 25k block for a 1 to pass on a triple drive on a 7k, 20k block for 1 to pass on an 8k with triple drive. I mean, he is just such a good card, and really works well with everything in this deck and the support. And like I said, when we start getting into our combo videos and things like that, you'll definitely see why he has taken over as probably the best boss Aqua. I can say this. This is the best boss that Aqua Force has had in in standard format. I definitely like him a lot more than I do Maelstrom and Glory Maelstrom for what he does, and how this deck is, ran overall. But that's the deck profile, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions about the deck. Obviously, I am in the comment section all the time, so let me know. Yeah, very, very good deck, very smooth. We're going to be doing combo tutorials. We're going to be doing, definitely want to get that mulligan tutorial out. I'll probably record that on Friday, because I'm not going to have too much time this week. This week is going to be pretty busy. But on Friday, I'll probably be able to do that for you. And I'm going to be getting a lot of play testing games in, playtesting games in this weekend. So like, comment, subscribe. Aqua Life, baby. You already know how it is. And we out.